Hello, and welcome to this Knowledge Acceleration program around campusM. I'm Matt Sherlock. I'm going to take you through some basics around app manager and app administration. This is session one of two sessions. This will cover off the basics. We'll dive into a bit more detail in session two. For this session, I'm focusing on App Manager, interface, making sure you know where things are, how they come together. I'm then going to dive into a number of key areas within App Manager, focused on key configurations and key edits that you're probably likely to do on a more regular basis. So we're going to be visiting App Builder and looking at how App Builder allows you to control the home screen. We'll then dive into Creative Studio and how we use that tool along with App Builder to deploy content. And then finally, in this session, we'll cover off notifications and Notification Center and how to send those to individuals and group users. So my aim is by the end of the session today, you should be able to access App Manager and find your way around App Manager. Look at some of the branding within App Builder, changing color schemes, deploying basic tiles, banners and feeds and link outs. Then we'll look at you being able to create basic content and publishing those to your end users. And then finally, by the end of the session, you should be more than competent in terms of sending individual and group notifications. The first screen that you will see as part of accessing App Manager is the authentication screen. So it's worth noting that App Manager allows for access control. So as a super admin within your organization, you can actually create sub-admins with different levels of permission. So you can give different people different levels of control within the app. So you've got a bit of confidence in terms of distributing access and management of the app across your different administrators. Now, as part of your implementation, you would have been given access to App Manager, the URL, in order to access App Manager. Just to note, you're likely to have been given two URLs for our App Manager. The first one is to what we call our cloud production environment. And for you guys, that would give you administration of both your production app and your sandbox app. The second URL you're likely to have been given is for the preview environment. And that runs 1 month ahead of the current production environment, our production environment, cloud environment, allows you to preview enhancements that are upcoming. So just make sure that you're logging into the right App Manager when you go ahead. So I'm going to log in. You may have this linked with your institutional identity management system. So you might log in using the same system that you do for your other institutional systems, or you might have a standalone separate username and password for App Manager. Let me go in and log in, and you'll be hit with the home screen. Okay, so you may see different numbers of these tiles, these components on your home screen, depending on your access level. So, don't be too shocked if there is a slight difference from what I see. Just to make it helpful, we'll give you a date, such like who you are. I'm logged in as coffee admin. And down here, you can also see QR codes. And these QR codes allow you to link to the App Center, where we distribute the apps for this environment. And in this case, it would be my production environment. These, as I say, are quick access to the various key functions. Today, we'll be looking at App Builder. We'll also be taking a look at Notification Center and Creative Studio. We might dive into app settings as well, just to talk a little bit about publishing and users. At the top here, we have the name of the user that you're currently logged in as. And if I click on that, I can see the ability to change my password and also to log out. Next to that, if you've got more than one app, so if you've got access to your sandbox and production environment, if you click on the name of the app, this is the app that I'm editing at the moment. If you click on that, you'll see a search bar and you'll be able to select between your different apps from there. And then finally, we've got our context help, and these links are pretty common wherever you go, but as you navigate through different areas of the app, you will see different things within here. So we'll always have links to the release notes within here and the release schedule. If you want to raise a ticket, you can do it from here. And also, accessing our online help through the Knowledge Center is available directly from here. Okay, so as I say, the first thing we're going to look at is App Builder, and this is generally where you would do a lot of the configuration of the look and feel of the home screen, deploying menu options to that home screen, changing branding, etc., etc. So let's run through this page in a little detail. So the screen is dominated by a preview of the home screen. Note, this isn't an actual home screen. I can't click into these tiles and activate and see the screens that sit behind these tiles. This is purely focused on the home screen. Then we've got at the top here, we've got some configuration elements that changes what I'm previewing. And then here on the right, we've actually got the configuration panels. This is where I make an awful lot of my changes. Let's come back to the preview area here. So at the top here, I can preview for different devices, web, iOS, and Android. Just to note, all I'm doing when I'm simulating these, if I click through now looking at the iOS app, all I'm doing is simulating the platform, the native app, and a screen resolution. So here I've got 414 pixels by 896 pixels. The tiles arrange themselves based on an algorithm, and the idea is that we try and change the general size of the tiles to fit as many as we can above the fold, i.e. before the scroll, and keeping everything legible. The reason I say that is because you might not see all of your devices, the latest devices here. These are the general pixel dimensions that we tend to see, and you'll see as I click through, what it's doing is changing these pixel dimensions. So if you don't see the device and it has got you want to simulate a particular pixel dimension, then you can manually go in here and edit that and see the screen. The other thing just to note is the distinction between Android and iOS and web is if you've enabled it, when I go to the web app, you will see that I've got the sidebar here as well, and I can configure elements within the sidebar. Let's go over to the other side of this preview pane, and I've got two drop downs. One is profile and one is roles, and this just allows me to operate against the various profiles that I might have within my app. So here we're looking at University of Mattshire. If I switch that, I can look at a different profile with a different look and feel, different set of tiles on there. Let's go back to University of Mattshire. So always make sure that you're operating against the profile that you want to operate against. And then next to that is the roles. And these are, if you like, the roles that you can deploy. And I can, by selecting these different roles, I can start to simulate what a user with a particular set of roles would look like. Okay, so again, it's about simulating the look and feel of the home screen based on the profile and the roles that user might have within that profile. That's the preview. You can always refresh the preview by clicking the refresh button at the bottom here. And just to note that the preview screen here is active, so I can click on, say, the sidebars, and I can drag and drop these to define a different order. Same with the tiles. When I click on a tile, I can move it around and you can see the tiles flexing. But also if I click on a tile, I'll see that the tile or the menu option, as we call them, properties come up. So these are the particular properties that are applying against this menu option. Let's take a look at the properties panels in a bit more detail. Like the app, these property panels are kind of hierarchical, based around app, profile, and then the individual menu option itself. Okay, and you can see that from here. We've got app configuration, profile configuration, and then the actual menu options themselves. And when I click on a menu option, I'm actually selecting the particular properties for that menu option. Now these cascade down, so if I set a particular configuration at the top, it will cascade down across the profiles, but at any level of that hierarchy, any lower level of that hierarchy, I can actually override. So you'll see here at the profile level, I've got a background color that is this kind of red color, but I'm not seeing that within this University of Matt Sherlock profile. If I go to the profile configuration, you can see that actually at the profile configuration level, I've got the background color set to white. Now, if that's overriding what was cascading down from above. If I remove that, you'll see that the preview will change in real time, and that will then be picking up the configuration set at the app config level. Okay, so I can override as I go down, and even at the individual menu option level, the tile level, I can make changes to what's being applied. So if you're not understanding why something is showing or not showing, just make sure that it's not being overridden by something further down the chain. And then at the bottom of this profile, these configuration panels, you can see the save and publish. Okay, and this, once you've made your changes, moved stuff around and added tiles and changed colors and done whatever you want to do, to make those live to users, it's a save and publish, okay, within App Builder. Just to note, in order for the end user to see that, they need to start a new session within the app. Within the web app, that's a refresh. Within the browser, on the native app, that's just when the app moves into the background and then comes back into the foreground. That's what we call start of a session. And at that point, if you've made changes and published them, then they will be visible to that end user. Now, as I say, this is live, so I can move and change the ordering, and remember that I have to click save and publish to then make those changes available to the end user. If I click on a tile, here we've got the zoom tile, you can see that I'm now picking up the configuration for this particular tile, the title of the tile, metadata. This is used for search within analytics. You can have a recent icon. That's the icon that's shown when the user hits the recents menu. Roles are where what roles will actually see this tile, and you'll see against all of the profiles we've got a default role. So in this case, anyone who comes into this profile will get assigned automatically the default role. And so by making a tick in the box for this particular profile against the default role, I'm saying that anyone who goes into this profile will see this tile. If I want to make it selective, I can remove the default tile role and I can add in, say, the beta tester role. Okay. Now you can't see that zoom tile here because all I am simulating at the moment within this profile is the default user. If I simulate a user with both the default user and the beta tester role, we'll see that that zoom tile will reappear along with some others. And if I take a ticket out of the default role and just select the beta role, you will see all of the tiles that are associated with just that beta role. Okay, so these are the ones that are selective. And of course, I can change that as and when. If I change that back to default, we get it back onto the home screen. Also note that that also means that I can start using it across different profiles. So this Zoom tile is now within the developer network and the visitor profile as well. So it does allow you to share menu options across different profiles. Tags is a new feature. Tags allow you to, they're very similar to roles in effect. Tags are selected by the end user within the My Profile area of the app. It just allows you, again, like roles, to make these selectively available, these menu options selectively available based on not just their roles, but also their tags. Final options within this panel are, whether it's visible or not to a particular user. You can disable a tile completely. This can be good if it's a seasonal tile. So, maybe a welcome banner tile that you use from one year to the next. After welcome's complete, you can just disable it, and then next season you can re-enable it. You can also selectively disable for different platforms. The final two options down here are around personalization and the arrange option for the home screen. The mandatory means that a user can't actually remove them from the home screen. They can move them around on their home screen, but they can't remove them from the home screen. So if you've got a key service that you want to make sure they always have, then put a check in that box. And then the final one here, hidden by default. Again, it's around personalization. In this configuration, it means that that tile won't be on the home screen when I first log in. I'd have to go into the arrange and make that tile visible. So if you want to, hide the tile and then selectively allow the user to access it, then that's entirely doable. We've then got the tile configuration, and within each of these, very much like the app config and profile config, within here I've got these elements, these properties, and I can add properties to then set up a particular configuration over and above the default. Okay, so if I wanted to say have a border, I can add these two properties, and I could make a color selection, and you can see there that my properties are now applying against this tile. Okay, if I was happy with that, I'd save and publish, and then that's available for end users. So that's the basics in terms of how this page is configured. One of the key things that you'll do here is add and remove tiles and menu options from the home screen. So we do that by going to the menu option and clicking add. And this creates this shows the new create new menu option panel. And within here, I can select different menu options, different tiles. So we're going to start off with a basic tile, and then I can give that a name. When I click create, it's going to create that menu option and pick up the default configuration from the app and the profile configuration to apply against this particular tile. So this tile is just sitting there, hasn't got any action associated with it. It's just an empty container at the moment. So I can start, configuring this up. I could add some metadata. I could make this available selectively to particular roles. Let's have this as a tile that links somewhere, either into the app or outside of the app to an external web service. Okay. I'm also going to put we'll use an image, and I'll drop an image onto that. So let's start configuring this up. So when I click on the action URL property, I get this URL wizard. This allows me to search for content, menu options, and pages, services within the app itself. So if I start typing in, say, law, you will see that it's bringing up a range of different options. So here I've got a menu option, so I can link to a menu option. I can link to an app position. If we go well-being, you can see I've got again menu options, but I've also got content pages that I can link to. And when I click on one of these, you can see here that it's created this campusM URL is actually pointing internally. Alternatively, if we were to link outside, so let's say I wanted to go to our Ex Libris webpage. I'm going to copy that URL and I'm going to paste it into here. And you get two options. Default option is open within the browser. The second option is to open within the external browser. Subtle difference, really focused on the mobile app, the native app, in such that the first option, default option, it opens the external page in the internal app browser. This makes for a much more joined up experience. It looks like it's within the app rather than breaking out to Chrome or Safari on the user's device. It also maintains your best chance if you're in a SSO environment to make that token available so that it can have a seamless sign-in experience. So I would strongly suggest that unless you want to break out from the actual app, I would select the first option here, the default option, which opens in the internal browser. In the web app, it always opens in a new tag, but because browsers tend to share tokens, you can still maintain that kind of SSO experience. So I'm going to link to our web page. I'm going to quickly browse to an image. When I click browse, I'm actually opening up our asset manager. An asset manager is a very simple file storage area. You can create folders within this space, and you can add files. You can drag and drop files in here. These are all the assets that you might use within your app, whether that's CSS files, whether that's image files, whether that's PDFs that you want to link to. This is a good place to store that. So I'm just going to click on an icon, just drop that onto the tile. And once I'm done, I'm happy with that, I'm going to click Save and Publish. Now, I'm going to just show you this in the web app. So you can see here, this is the web app of that same app I've been editing. You'll see that Ex Libris tile hasn't appeared yet. If I do a refresh, you can now see that basic tile has appeared. And if I click on that basic tile, it will open up the Ex Libris group. Okay, so really easy to just drop links to external services or internal services right on the home screen. Very, very easy to do from that perspective. So let's try something slightly different. Let's look at adding in a banner and feed tile. So a banner tile is a really nice way of getting some marketing call to actions on the home screen. It's a carousel of image impressions, and you can actually have links against each of the image impressions that are scrolled through. So if I go and click add, Again, I see this create new menu option configuration, and I'm going to this time choose a banner tile. Give it a name. Create. Okay. I'm just going to drop it onto the home screen. You'll see the tiles slightly wider for a banner tile. It's already dropped in some, example images in here. So I've got a start. Again, I can make this available for different roles. All the same configuration properties are here. You'll see it's already populated some of these properties already for me. So I've got a tile width of 3. Just to note, tile width and height is, tile dimension is by this kind of grid arrangement. So this is a 1 by 1 tile. This is a 1 by 3 tile. And what we're going to do here is we're going to add a new property, which is tile height, and we'll change that to a 2. Okay, so you can see it's much bigger, 3 by 2 in terms of dimensions. Let's just click the banner drop down. So these are the demo images it's just put in. What I'm going to do is just get rid of those. We have a nice blank area and just click add banner. Okay. Each banner has this set of configuration elements. I have an image, a link, an action URL. You don't have to have an action on click. It can just be a static image that goes through on a carousel. But it's nice and easy to actually link out. Display duration, how long it's going to be on the home screen before it moves on to the next one. You can set that by second. Description, again, useful for search and analytics. And then you can also add an icon, kind of watermark against the banner if you want to. I'm just going to add in a couple of simple, let's see. And again, I can add in, in fact, that might be a slightly different dimension. There you go, it's better. So 2 by 1. Again, I could add in an action URL so it could link somewhere else. I'm just going to add in another one just so we've got. Okay, so we've got a couple there, scrolling banners. Again, they could be linking out. Just to note, a really nice, or a couple of nice properties to add is user control and the play pause button for accessibility. If you just put ticks in those, then the user has some control over moving those carousels on as well. And again, really great way of just getting some marketing content into your app. Place it at the top if you want. Make it very visible to your end users as a marketing tool. Sorry. Let's do a feed. And to do a feed tile, we accept RSS feeds into the app. A really cool service that you can subscribe to is rss.app. This allows you to effectively generate feeds from social media. So you can very quickly create a feed. If I go new feed, I can create from Twitter or from Facebook, Instagram and such like, and it just builds an RSS feed for that particular social media platform. And you can have multiple feeds for different institutions and such like. If I go to my feeds, let's see if we can find a Ex Libris one. Yeah, Ex Libris. If I click on that, I can just copy the RSS XML feed. So to create a feed, I'm just going to again go to menu options and add. For my menu option type, I'm going to select feed tile. Okay, and again, it will drop it into the home screen with some pre-configured properties. I'm going to click Add. Description. Copy that service in the XML. Again, I can add that watermark icon, and again, really nice to add in those user properties here as well. Again, so nice feed, very easy to do. Just adds a bit of dynamic content to the home screen. Do click save and publish. I go to the home screen here, do a refresh again, new session, pull down that new content. You can see I've got that banner tile and I've got that feeds tile here as well, and I can pause these, play these, etc., etc. Some simple basic tiles for you to add to the home screen. What we're next going to do is a content tile. So actually have some pages sit behind one of those menu options. In order to create a content page, if it's a new content area, the first thing we need to do is create a tile, a menu option for that content to sit behind. So I'm going to click, and from the new menu option configuration, I'm going to add a content menu option. And I'm going to put in cap the tile name. Okay, again, you can drop that tile on, pick up the defaults. I'm just going to very quickly add a label, so it's just going to show the title here, and I'm going to just click save and publish. A quick tip here is it's worth using a beta role. If you don't want the content to be visible to everyone to begin with, you can publish it just against the beta role to begin with. And then you can, once you're happy with the content, you can change it to the default role or to the selected other roles that you want to make it available for. For speed, I'm just going to leave it as the default user. Click save and publish. Okay, so that's going to create me my content node. What I'm now going to do is go to the Creative Studio to actually edit that. So rather than going to the home screen, if I click on App Manager here, it just gives me a quick drop down of all those elements of App Manager that you will have seen on the App Manager home screen. So it's a nice quick access menu item, and I'm going to click the Creative Studio page. And this will bring us into Creative Studio. Now, I've got a lot of content and demo pages here, so it's a bit messy, I'm afraid, but it should give us the ability just to take a look at what we're doing here. So just really quickly, just to orientate ourselves, these are the content nodes. Within here, I can actually search for the node that I created, so that cap content node. Just to note that the menu, this drop down here allows me to edit both the about page and the intro pages as well within the app, but we'll focus on the menu options at the moment. I select my content node, so I want my new page to be dropped below that content node, and I'm going to click add new. You've got three options: page, menu, or redirect. Page is a page. Menu allows you to start sub-nesting pages within that content node. So you can have menus and sub-menus of content. A redirect effectively allows you to drop in a placeholder that when the user clicks on it, it will take them, it will redirect them to the selected content. I'm just going to select a page here. When I select the page, we get this create new page selection screen, and these are templates. So these are, to get you started, we've got a number of different templates that you can use, some basic ones. You can also create your own organizational templates. So a user can use those templates, for example. So here we've got campusM coffee break. Let's use that one as our template. You can see the basic template format that we'll have. I'm going to give it a name, so very inventive. Type. And again, description for search and analytics. I'm going to keep them the same, and I'm going to start off with the page as a draft page. Okay, created my page. You'll see that that page name now appears nested within the content node, and status is draft. This is the page editing screen. Quickly orientate. These are the different formats. So I can see it across different devices. This one's very mobile centric. I can expand this to full screen as well. It's typical kind of content editor from that point of view. This is kind of the visual editor. I can also get to the code, and I can manage both the HTML and CSS code for a particular page if you're that way inclined, and that's a good approach if you've got technical staff in terms of setting up your templates. It gives you, good fine control of that. You can also upload either HTML or import HTML from an existing web page as well through this screen. Undo and redo and delete are all here. And then on the far side, we've got our content blocks. We've got the layering. So this, in effect, are the different sections within the page, CSS sections. And then the final one is the actual properties against a particular section within the page. Okay. In order to, make some changes. So here we've got an image. If I double click an image, it's going to bring up the asset manager, and I can, change the image from here. Okay. And you have to play around with the images and such like, so they're responsive particular situation. Content editable from here. I can add in links from here. I can clone components. So if I click a component, I can clone that component. And just note, as I'm moving through, these blue boxes are the element that I'm editing. So, make sure that you get the right element if you're making changes. I've just deleted the component that I cloned. I can add in new components and new spaces within here. And then the basics, you've got images. Again, drag it into where you want it to be and drop it in. We can also add in things like maps. When I click on a map, okay, I want to configure that particular element. If I click on it, I go into the configuration, the component configuration. Different components have different component settings. So in this one, London, it's a kind of Google search type thing. So if I go scroll in, it's going to find the Clarivate headquarters in London. Okay. So once I'm happy that, my page is configured, I'm sure you can make yours look, in fact, I can't stand those, so we'll get rid of those. Once you're happy that this page is configured, I come up here and I've got this ability to save as a template and save as publish. If I just save, that page is still draft, so it's not going to be visible to anyone. When I'm ready, save and publish will then make that page visible. Okay, I can also edit the details, the name of the page and the description. I can clone pages and I can delete pages from here. That's a very whistle-stop tour of the content creation tool. There's lots here. Just to note, as I add in new pages, they will start to nest. Okay, I'm going to save and publish that. Okay, so just the default. And if I go to our demo app now and click refresh, again, start of a session to get the latest content, should have our content pages visible. And once I click on those, I will see the content pages. Just to note, one thing to note, when you first do the create your page, you do need to go into app settings and publish content. And then you can, here are all the different services that you can publish separately. I'm going to publish all content. These are all the different profiles I've got within my app. I'm just going to click the all button here, and it's going to publish all content across all the different profiles. Okay, that you have to do that the first time you generate a content node to refresh, and that should make these pages visible. Just to note also that these pages probably not going to be the most attractive pages you'll ever see. You can see they're starting to nest already. Okay, so you already automatically get that nest in. And if I wanted a sub nest, that's where I'd use the menu option. So that's content. The final area we wanted to touch on briefly was notifications. Notifications come in a number of varieties. We have individual notifications and we have group notifications. And within group notifications, we have what we call subscription-based notifications, where a user can subscribe to a particular notification channel, or we have mandatory notification groups as well. Notifications and groups are managed within the notification center. When I click on the notification center, you'll see a dashboard that just gives you a bit of information about the number of notifications sent over the last 30 days and how many have been read. I can also search and see for a particular day what notifications were sent, and I can search for particular notification content if I want to see that content. Easiest notification to send is individual notification. I guess it should be individuals notification, because you can actually send it to more than one. You just type in your user, their email address, it will start searching. Depends on how many users you've got. This could take a bit of time just to trawl through your user base database and find them. But you can start to edit the page as we go through while you're waiting for that. Title is the, would you believe it, the title of the notification that's going to be sent. You'll notice here I've got one where its first name is capitalized in curly brackets. We've got first name, last name, and email. Each of those, if you use within these curly brackets and capitalized, will actually substitute the user's details. So it just allows you to personalize the message for that end user. Then we've got the body of the message. So you can make this as pretty or not as you would like to. Let's do your timetable session at 900 today has moved to school law. Now I can format that up. You can change its style, bullet point it. I can add in images, so you can make it nice and rich. You can also add in links. And again, we get the wizard come up. So law. So I can actually link that notification to an app position. So they can actually get linked to that location. I can send it now, or I can schedule it up. And on all notifications for data retention reasons have an expiry date automatically set. You can change that if you want. It's a good idea if it's a time sensitive notification to modify that. My list has finally loaded, so I can now make my selection. You'll see that, and I can add more than one or add all that match that particular search description. So these are now the chosen recipients. So I'm sending it to Miri, just one user. Click send. Okay, and you can see here it's going to send to one recipient. Click OK, and that notification will now be sent against the schedule that I selected. I'll return to Notification Center. You can see there that this notification has been sent. One recipient, that recipient has yet to read it. If I click on that, I can actually send to all, or send to those that have read, or send to those that haven't read, and I can edit the message. So it's a nice way of, if you want to re-engage those that read the first message, you can actually do that by clicking on it and send to the read, or you can re-prompt for those that haven't responded. So that's a nice little feature. Notification groups are, if you like, collections of users. So rather than having to select all those different individual users when you go to send a notification, you actually you select a group. So I'm not going to send one straight away. These are all the groups that I've got set up. I can just very quickly, select pilot students. Let's say I've got a set of students piloting attendance and I want to send them particular set of communications. I can select that particular group and go away in exactly the same way as I did before and edit my message, the same selection options as well. Now those groups can be managed in a couple of ways in terms of who's on that group and who's not on that group. We go into manage group notifications. These are all the notifications groups that I've got within this app. Notification groups can be categorized. This is particularly useful when you're going to have them as subscription based. So you might have like sports channels, you might have events channels, you might have latest news channels. So categories allow you to group those notification channels for them to select from. It also allows you to control their visibility. So you could have a staff category and then only show that to selected roles. So if I go into categories, for example, you'll see here, if I add a category group, give it staff, or let's do beta users. Okay, I can add an image, an icon to that. I can add a profile. So that's if you want to control who can edit this group. But I'm going to add it in here to that beta tester. So only users with the beta tester role will actually see any notification group, aligned with this notification category. As I say, that's important. Go back to notification group. That's important if I go and add a notification group and I want to be beta testers. I select that beta user group. That then means that when I put user subscribe, this means that that's a channel that a user can subscribe to get notifications from or not. So I guess it's a selective non-mandatory notification group. In the current configuration, because I made the role selection around category for particular beta users, and I'm using as user subscribed, in this situation, only beta users would see this beta testers notification group in order to be able to subscribe to it or not. Okay, so that's how categories work in order to be selective. You can also set sort order. So within that kind of category, where does this sit, top of the list or bottom of the list as well. I'm not going to save that one. What I am going to do is go into that pilot group. I want to now manage who goes on that group. Okay, so that's in the change subscriptions against a particular notification group. Okay, so this is where I would subscribe individual users to this notification group. Okay, and as I click them, effectively it's subscribing this user into this notification group. So when I send to this notification group, these are the users that would actually receive that notification. I can very quickly download a CSV file of all the users that are currently subscribed. Quickly click on that, load up the Excel sheet. Okay, so these are the 4 users that have been subscribed into that. Again, if it's a subscription-based, user subscribe-based channel, you can download who has actually subscribed or not to it. I can also populate this rather than doing it manually by, clicking here, there, and everywhere. I can also upload a CSV file of email addresses for those that I want to, subscribe into this notification channel. So if I want to do bulk subscription for, 150 users into this, then I can do it through a CSV file. All that file just contains a list of emails, very similar to that example that I downloaded a second ago. The alternative way of populating notification groups, and this would only work for notification groups that aren't user subscribed, so not user subscribed, is to align a notification group with a role. So if we go back to our notification group, and we will create the notification group beta. Okay, I'm not going to give it a category because I'm not going to have it as a user subscribed. This is just a container for subscriptions. If I click save here, I've got the zip beta testers here. Okay, let's say I wanted to align that with the beta tester role against my profile, so that when a user gets that role, say through role sync, they would also be added to that notification group, so I can send, say, all first years or faculty of chemistry, or in this case, anyone with the beta user role. In order to do that, I align it against the app role. App roles are configured within app settings, and there's an enterprise roles panel here. If I click on the app roles, I will see all of the profiles and the roles within the profile. So I'm going to go down to University of Mattshire, this profile, and I'm going to select the beta tester role here. Now we'll cover off roles in the second session, but I just want to point out the standard alert group property here. This allows me to effectively select a notification group that anyone with this beta tester role will be automatically subscribed to. Okay, so I'm going to add that beta tester notification group here, so that makes that link between this role and that notification group. And therefore, having made that change, if I now go to Notification Center and I send group notification, and I send that to my beta tester, I can now send that and anyone who has the beta tester role will now get that notification because I've sent it to that notification group. So that's a lot to take in. We've done a lot there, taken a look at App Manager, orientated ourselves around that, looked at App Builder, added some tiles to the home screen, banner tiles, feed tiles. We looked at content and content tiles and how we add content tiles and publish those content tiles. And then finally, we've taken a look at notifications, sending individual group notifications and managing those group notifications, who subscribed, who isn't. Hopefully you've managed to keep pace with me on that. There's lots of training videos in the campusM Knowledge Centre. Always take a look up here. If you go to the online help, that will take you to the campusM Knowledge Centre page. I would always point you in the direction of the training videos. They're really short and sweet, a bit shorter than I've been. campusM Essentials. These give you some bite-sized training videos, cover off a lot of what I've done in terms of managing content, overview for App Builder and such like. So again, if you're ever stuck, this is a great way to just catch up. So thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll catch you hopefully in session 2.